Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. So we're going to talk about income, right? So we've been talking about this income strategy. We're going over the wheel. You've seen some videos where we're trying to break it down just very much piece by piece to make it very digestible, very understandable. I have Mike right here. He's good at talking to humans. And so we're going to talk right now about, because you've heard us say make 1% a week. Now you can do this by adjusting your strike to the premium. There's another way we're gonna show you because in the way we're going to talk about, essentially, it does add the risk, but it is in every sense of the word, every bit free money because you're not getting charged. We'll get to that in a second. Now, typically, this is a lot of the reason why I could probably just joke at why I'll beat the S&P literally every year. Because even if I'm just shy, a lot of times mine are just shy of 1%. If I'm making 1%, we're talking about selling cash secured puts, selling calls on our shares. I would rather collect a little bit less and not have to manage it. But there's a lot of times I'm collecting a little bit over 1%, and it does average out a lot, especially with the volatility we've seen lately. So that's always just subject to change because the volatility can really make things pricey. But before we get into, because Mike put together a slide, before we get into it, I just want to always just ensure, disclaimer, everything. You will never tilt one side of the scale without the other. So anytime you're going to make it safer, you'll collect less. If you're going to collect more, you're going to risk more. You just will not find an area in this market that does not exist. So before we kick it off, Mike, you want to tell them anything?
This is just using our simple wheel strategy.
Mhm.
And some weeks I make 1%. Sometimes I don't quite get there. But in general, like you said, the goal is to get 1% a week, which blows away any sort of savings account, you know, uh, just investing in the S&P,
Mhm.
like this is a really, for me, it's a low risk income generation. That's pretty much guaranteed every week.
Yeah. And then how many weeks are there in a year?
There are 52.
52. Okay. So saying we take a 2-week vacation, that's still 50%. Remember that
Absolutely.
one time the S&P made 10%? That was cool. Anyway, tell me about that one time you almost worked at Blizzard. Just kidding. You could have been playing with Elon, though. That is a new goal of mine. I need everybody to share, tag Elon, and say Don Fran is the one you want to play Diablo with.
That is a true story. I could have worked at Blizzard a long time ago.
That's wild. All right, let's. I think we could fit everything in it. If we keep us right here, I think I can fit us. We might have to go like this. I'm just not a fan of that view. Let's go. How to make I% a week. Capital I% a week.
It's actually one, the font just messed it up. I don't know
It's a lowercase L. How to make L% a week? How to make 1 L or I% a week?
That's a one.
Part L. Step I. All right. So on step I, use your cash to sell cash secured puts or your shares to sell covered calls. We've gone over that. This is where, like I say, if you have 100 shares, consider that, imagine like a vacant house. You want to collect some rent on that, right? So he's using Enphase, ENPH, current price, L23. So you put on the put side, you're selling the II7 strike. You would need
Yeah.
L700.
Don't do that. You're going to confuse people.
So the current strike price, $123 per share. Okay. On the put side, let me get that. Okay. Put side, you're going to sell the 117 strike. Now you can adjust that. Ultimately, if you guys know about this, you can know how you can adjust your deltas. This is a conservative approach.
Yep.
Again, Mike is definitely on the conservative side. And even me being a trader, when it comes to me selling options, I'm way out there. I call it children's allowance for a reason. So you could solve that 1% thing right here, right now, and just bump that up to 118, 119. Okay, but so the put side, you would need cash secured puts. You're assuming you want to buy 100 shares at $117 per share. you would need $11,700 in cash, and you would collect $92 for that put right now at time of recording. So your ROI is 0.78%. Close enough.
Good enough.
Yeah. Honestly, that's where I'm at every week. 1% is good when the volatility is there. I take it. But if you want realistically what I'm doing every week, we're probably right about there. That maybe 0.9. And I can tell you guys right now, I was going to say something cocky. I was like, I make more money than you. But no, I'm just saying, you'd be surprised what kind of ground you can cover with just that.
Yeah.
Call
So
side, right? Go ahead.
And that's the put side, right? So you just have cash in the bank. You got two options. You can sell a put, or you can buy shares and sell a call against those shares. So these are the two options you have, and that's where we're at in these two right now.
And I do it because some people do that. They will buy shares and instantly sell a call, and I've done it before. And not it's rare, but things need to kind of set up just right, because if you buy shares and it's a good time to sell a call, you might be buying at the peak. Versus you bought the shares because they're cheap, and then you instantly go sell a call. If it bounces, then you're just kind of instantly in management mode. You're still making money every week, but management mode goes from 0.6, 0.7. We're talking close to 1% to 0.5%. Or less. It significantly changed it. So before this happens to be one of those that just sounds really cool on paper, and then you start to execute it, and it's just like, which angle do I want to get hit with?
Yeah, and I'm not promoting either one. I'm just giving the options, right? Like if you have, let's just say $12,000 in your brokerage account, you have two options. You can sell a put, you can buy shares and sell a call. So again, not promoting one or the other, but those are two ways to do it. So,
or leave it in your bank account and see how much that pays you,
and get nothing.
It'd be none of these. You know what really bugs me about that, real quick? Because some people are like, "Well, my bank account pays 4%." They've probably just never read the tiny writing, the small print, because even those have a cap. It's usually like $1,100 or $1,200. So you can't just go blast a bunch of money in a savings account and just live off of that, because they literally cap it.
Yeah,
you won't find that here. I like how you added this, but you said you're trying to achieve I%. Yeah, and that does not add up. You're right. It doesn't. Bite me. Let's move on to part 2. Part L was crazy. All right. Step 2, use margin to make up the difference with the same strategy. That's right. When you go to the casino, if one's not paying the jackpot, you take up the whole row. Okay, you get your coin purse out, you put coins in every one of them, see if you can hit it faster. Is that what we're doing?
No. This is an even more conservative approach. This is strictly selling puts this time, because you can sell puts using margin. But at a much more conservative strike. Just collecting just a little bit more gets you really close to that 1%. Now, one note is, when you're using margin to sell puts, they don't charge you interest. You do not incur interest fees for that. The only time you incur interest is whenever you actually get shares assigned. And so that's a caveat you need to know before you do that.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about, free internet money. Because they say it's never free to borrow money, except in this case. Because in this case, using your example right here, same, it's 123. So you'd sell the 113 strike, quite a bit lower. Again, because essentially you're going from 11,000 to 22,000. Someone's going to call that out. Oh, was it 11,700? So you're going to actually go from 11,700 and 11,300 to 23,000.
Right.
I don't want to say in theory, because that's just really what it is. And you would collect an additional $40. Oh man, where was I going to go with that? Oh yeah, the whole margin thing. You're going to borrow that extra $11,000, and nothing happens. You don't have to pay there's no margin dues, nothing. If I were to take that 11,000 and buy the shares, now I do have to pay the margin percentage. Negligible, because your $40 will already pay for that, even if that was the case. But that being said, this is what I mean by free internet money. And it took me a long time to figure this out because I always just assumed margin, you're borrowing money. I live on Earth where nothing is free, So I was like, let's just. Oh wait, there's no need to double my risk for $40. But once I found this out, there's plenty of things that I just wouldn't mind owning that much of. Should we come across that? It's all things like Tesla, Nvidia, the big guys. Enphase probably wouldn't even be a bad one for me.
Right.
But yeah, every bit of that was just free money.
Yep.
Not to mention, at the time of recording this, I have yet to have a single Tesla share put to me. And
Still?
if you guys aren't following, I'm selling at the money. I sold in the money, and Tesla just jumps up. I'm like, are you out of your mind? It is avoiding my strike price like the plague, and it's fine, but I want the shares. I want the money, and I want the shares. Right now, they're just giving me a bunch of money, which is I never thought I'd complain about that, but at this point, it's annoying. And now I'm taking it personal because it is like someone is paying for my order flow. It's like, let's put Tesla just above that. I'm this close to selling a $350 strike call or strike put on Tesla. Just see if it sends it. Like, yeah, let's see. You want some of this? Like, let's go. Because I feel like I'm going to fight a market maker at this point.
A 300 strike.
Yeah,
that'd be a day. That would be a day. For sure.
If it didn't, I would either go down in history as the coolest trader ever. Wall Street Bets has some pretty impressive ones when they finally do get it. I don't want to say right. We'll say coincidentally right.
Yeah, they're jackpot players.
Yeah. Tell me that wouldn't be a jackpot though. Tesla just shoots up $140 because I sold a put.
Yeah, it would. That'd be quite interesting for sure.
Just know that someone at Citadel, someone's getting choked. I'm going to the headquarters, and that's what's going to pan out. All right. This is where we're going to go over step I, step 2, and ROL, and see what we have. We got.
Stop it.
Okay. We fit. I just want to make sure our picture was still on here. Okay, so this is just one way you are using margin to collect 1% on your cash. I know. I just feel like someone's going to call it out because it's 1% on your cash. Because in theory, right here, so you're going to sell a put, you're going to use a cash secured put, then use margin to sell another put. All you ever had out there was your 11,000, and if you were to sell both those, as you can see up here, ends up being 1.1%. I was going to say I.L%, but just to not confuse everybody, that's a little over 1% on the actual cash. Or the selling a call, I feel like we should have some separation because selling a call on your shares versus selling a put, coincidentally, it's the same ticker. That is two totally different trades. Where one is yours technically with two different strikes, it's two different trades. But
it is, and what I was trying to show is that even if you own shares of anything, it could be Enphase, it could be Tesla, Nvidia, Meta, whatever, and you're earning income on that every week, you can still get close to your 1% and keeping your shares by selling calls against those and then selling puts with margin.
That's and really this is still, again, super conservative. Do I have data up here? Okay. I just want to show off Tesla, 220, right? So we need $220 so we need $2.20. It's actually right here, 230. So if someone was only after 1%, there's plenty of weeks you can do literally just that. You can come in here and sell the 230. And if you own Tesla right now at 220 a share and sold the 230 strike, you're going to get your 1%. Plus, you're going to collect the money on the shares if that were to happen. Yep. And I want to make sure we iterate, there is quite a few ways to sell and collect 1%. Not just one. And oftentimes I'm usually in a batch of these things. I have calls coming on certain shares. Sometimes I'm a little bit more aggressive depending on deltas. Hopefully you guys watched the delta video. If I was just to go out and YouTube wheel strategy and I would just sell the 30 deltas like they say, I would actually be collecting a little over 1% because it'd be $282.
Yep.
So depending on your goals and kind of where you're at, the 1% thing is, I made a video a long time ago because somebody, I forget what brought it up. Yeah, everyone's like, I only risk 1% of my account, and I was like, well, that's dumb. But let me show you how to risk 1% correctly, because they were just they would buy something, and when that stock moved 1% or something like that, then they would just get out. I was like, one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. And then I'd locked in 1 or 2% a day. This 1% thing has had so many conversations. I had locked in 1%. I think this was back in the LPP days. Someone tried making fun of me, and I'd made a couple percent that day, and I was like, okay, maybe you don't do math, or if you don't know anything about numbers, he probably was looking at that slide and thinking I and L. You know, I said, math that out. Like he said, I can make 1% easy without even looking. I said, well, then do it every day. Well, what's the problem? How about you just do 1% a day every day? So I even made a video about what making 1% a day. Here we are talking about 1% a week, but 1% a day, and just extrapolate that out and see what happens. And it's crazy because I think in the world of just YouTube and gurus, they like to promote flashy numbers because that's what draws people in. Hearing 1% a day, 1% a week, nothing. As far as a money manager goes, that's anyone that knows numbers knows that's huge. Especially if you have an account that's sub 1 million. I don't think people understand the advantage we have with accounts under $1 million. And there's popular excuses. I know some nerd's going to bring this up, and it makes me want to choke them every time too. They're like, hedge funds can't do that. It's because they have no idea what hedge funds even are, or what the market is, or how someone gets in or out of the market. We are not a hedge fund. We are not anything else, and it is easy to the S&P has never been a competition of mine, literally ever. But blows me away how many people will just say like, "Well, if hedge funds can't do it, clearly I can't." That's like saying a professional bowler can't go out and play basketball. Like it has nothing to do with each other.
So I can tell you, I'm just a regular Joe Schmo, and I'm doing this every week.
Almost worked at Blizzard. Turned it down. Said he wasn't good enough for him, or they weren't good enough for him. That's what he told me off camera, guys. He said, I was going to work for Blizzard, but I told them they're peons. I think was your exact words. Could have just been playing Diablo with Elon, but no. Chose to turn that down.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's
no
possible.
need to. Without dragging it on, I want to encourage. Yes, there is risks, right? But there's a risk every time you get in the car, right? And I don't want to be that guy, but you just being alive, you're just surrounded by risks anyway. Once you understand it, just kind of understand the field you're on, it's actually not that bad. But don't do this without a full understanding, and we're trying to make this as digestible as possible. But it does not take one. I hate when people say it's not rocket science, and you're right, because it's not the study of rockets. We're talking about the stock market. That never made sense to me, but I'm sure a lot of people understand that. Do rockets seem hard to people? I don't know why that was ever the example, but anyway, it's just not that bad at all. I promise you can do it. What do you have to say, Joe Schmo?
Appreciate that. Yeah. The mechanics are pretty easy. Understanding some of the nuance and the details, it takes a little bit, but it's not hard to learn. I think what I wanted to get across when we were putting this wheel strategy playlist together was that anyone can do this. It's not too difficult, and you can make some real money without a lot of risk and without a lot of heartache. I literally take my trades once a week, and I don't really look at them all that much. And this is, like you always call it, free money. Like this has just probably been the best thing ever for me.
Yeah. And there's one more question everyone says, how come everyone doesn't do this? And it's probably for everything you're probably saying behind the camera. Oh, this or that. That's probably why, because you're not doing it. Like it is. I'm not talking to Mike. I'm talking to like the people watching. Like they're like.
I have a good answer.
Replying as they're watching. Yeah, just all the excuses as to why, and that's why they don't do anything with their life, and why they have zero skills at anything, because they just beat themselves up before they ever even try. And this is something you can do. Everyone should do. It annoys me that they don't teach us, but maybe that's, I guess we can get our tinfoil hat on. Maybe that's why they don't. Because then why would you complain about student loans? Why would
Well,
that be a topic anymore?
I can tell you, for me, I just I didn't know that this was even a possibility. So
Yeah.
when I was first starting out, I just, just straight investing, just bought and held.
Hmm.
It was just the lack of knowledge. So I was ignorant of the fact that this can be done.
Hmm.
So I think that's probably the takeaway, is that for people who are just learning how to invest or whatever, this is a tool in your arsenal that can really propel your income straight through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something, outside of just going back, and I wish I would have whole accounted Bitcoin in 2007 or whenever it came out,
Right.
looking back, there's a lot of things I had in my investment. I heard you should invest early and often, and I
Mhm.
did. And I watched my investment account grow. It was cool. I thought I was doing all right. I've always bought the heavy names. I think we're in a tech world. Um, so I never bought a whole bunch of Starbucks because there was a long line. I also thought that was stupid. So it panned out. Everything's working. But if I could go back and learn this day one,
Yeah.
I could tell you right now, I wouldn't know what to do with all the money.
Yeah. Agreed.
So yeah, this is something I've picked up years after, been doing it for years now. But it is just crazy looking back how long this has been here. And I remember telling people, they're like, "Hey, you should look into options. You could spend less and make more." And my exact reply was, "What pyramid scheme doesn't start with that sentence?" Like every time I've heard that exact line, instantly it was a scam. Like,
Yeah.
oh, so you can spend less and make more. Oh
Yep.
yeah, I'm sure you're just looking out for me. Yeah, I'm sure you just want the world to be rich. Instantly turned it down, and I wish I would have just a lot sooner.
Yeah. 100% agree. If this would have been in my arsenal day one, my account would be so much bigger.
Hmm.
So
All right,
enough said.
you got anything else to add?
No, if you want to learn, if this is scary, you can come join our group.
Hmm.
We'll show you the basics.
Yeah, the Discord is free. There's tiers, right? Let's talk about that, because they can watch you. They can jump in that Patreon and watch you Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and on Friday you're literally talking about the ones you're selling right then and there,
Right.
or well, like right before you do it.
Yeah. In fact, we this morning we talked about, we were selling Palantir and Bitto, so we did both of those, called them out, and we're all in them.
Nice. Yeah. So check that out, because also on that tier you'll get the account that I'm growing, that we started from zero. We're about to hit the 10K mark. It's gonna be exciting. Um, Anytime you can grow from zero to over 10K, I think it's a good year. But anyway, you can get all that. All of that's literally in that Patreon level too. So I'll make sure it's in the top pinned comments. You don't have to even click the description. Just check the comments down below. I'm sure there might even be some other brainiacs in there. And maybe you should watch some of their videos if they have them. Just kidding. They don't, but they do like to type. Anyway, I'll wrap it up. We will see everyone in the next video. Have a good one.
See ya.